Okay. I'm going to try this again. Um, I'm going to tell the story of Kryptonite. It's kind of a long story because it's been going on for a while. It's still going on. So let's get into it. I'm not sure if you've ever been in a situation where you expressed feelings for someone and it wasn't reciprocated. Or worse, it was being taken advantage of. Some people can relate to that, I guess. But this one, I think, I don't know. It's been going on for a while. So, one of the interesting things about my relationship with Kryptonite is that we don't have a lot in common as far as likes. I'm a kind of a geek, nerd, city boy, gamer. I don't know. Your traditional stereotype. Try to think of like Sheldon, I guess. And she's this like very beautiful, strong, independent, kind of feminist woman. Into country, nature, that kind of thing. So, believe me when I say that I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how did I get into this situation? How did I get so attached to someone? Because if it was just some sort of physical attraction, I don't think it would have lasted this long. I don't think I would have done as much as I've done. So this is my best guess. My psychoanalyzing myself, I guess. And I have to kind of go back, is the thing, because it happened a long time ago. I would imagine the first time I ended up feeling a sense of attraction. So let me set this up. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and it's a very very conservative Christian religion. You know, they don't play. They take things very seriously. And for a while, for a couple years, she went to the same Kingdom Hall that I did, and she was easily the most prettiest girl there, easily the most attractive person, and I would try to, if given the chance, sit a couple rows behind her, so I would get a chance to, you know, church can sometimes be a little boring, but and in fact, when she wouldn't show up, it was a particularly long meeting. But you know, back then, there was several reasons why I never said anything. One, I was intimidated, even though I was older. Two, she had kind of a bad reputation in the church, and my mom really didn't like her. So and in church, reputation is like the social currency. It's all they have to, really distinguish amongst themselves, the pecking order. So, despite me having some kind of attraction, I never really did anything about it. I didn't talk to her, really. It was just me just kind of appreciating her looks from afar, but that was over years. Okay? That was over years. And I did not know then, at the time, on how much I was really just getting used to just seeing her, relying on her, going to these meetings. So let's start off first with that's the premise, that's the setup. When I was 19, back in 1999, I wrote this journal entry. All right. And the reason I brought this out was because I was married between the years of 2001 and 2006. And before I got married, I remember, or I even have written here, this excerpt here. And this was in regards to my ex, the one that I ended up marrying. It says here, the question that has surfaced is, what do I want? What am I looking for in a girl? Why am I so confused over this? You would think it would be clear by now, but it's not. Why don't I fall for my ex? Well, I actually had her name, but I'm swapping it out because, and I'll be swapping out all the names in the video. So I wrote some more stuff here, but I remember clearly thinking I should have felt something. And the reason I remember thinking that I should have felt something is because I've experienced what that attraction feels like, and I didn't quite feel that with her. It's just that she really made sense on paper. In fact, we turned out to be a fairly efficient team. I wrote a pros and cons list. There was every reason why I should have married my ex. Now, during the time that I was married, I was happy. And I never did anything at all to try to betray the trust of my ex. So, again, I really never talked to Kryptonite. Kryptonite ended up getting disfellowshipped. By my accounts, somewhere around 2000 and during the time that I was married. And being disfellowshipped is something serious amongst the Jehovah's Witnesses. Basically, it's very similar to the Catholic version of being excommunicated. Okay, and no one in the community is allowed to communicate with this individual, and if you are caught being familiar with this individual, it could jeopardize even your own standing in the church. If you keep it up, they could even kick you out as well. So it's kind of a crappy, situation for the individual that's involved, whoever happens to go through that. And a sign of showing like you're really sorry is to be there while they announce it. They in front of everyone on stage, they say so and so no longer with us, out. And the only other experience that I had with her prior to that was one time we were out at Smithville Lake, and man, I it's interesting how the majority of my memories can be really foggy, especially that far back ago. And I can remember that really clearly because of how strong my emotions were going on at the time, because I was hanging out with her at the lake, and she was just in this bathing suit, and oh man, I really wanted to impress her. I really wanted to, like, hey, because this is like really one of the first times I even talked to her. And I had done swimming in high school, so I was able to hold my breath some good, for a while. And I was like, hey, you want to go ahead and play a game? Let's see who can hold our breath longer underwater. And we would be going back and forth trying to one-up each other. She ultimately won. She was able to hold up her breath for 3 minutes. We had a little watch that we were keeping track of time and everything. And man, talk about getting hooked. There's very few things that I find more attractive than when a female does something better than what I can do, because yeah, that was completely badass. But other than that one interaction, I really never talked to her. And it's interesting on how strong women's intuition is, because my ex really disliked Kryptonite. And even though they never really interacted either. And I used the word disliked, that she disliked her, not casually, because my ex was very similar temperament to myself, and both of us really didn't dislike people, let alone someone that didn't like do anything to us, right? And I never talked about her. But I remember at the time when it happened that I think I kind of let slip that Kryptonite wasn't exactly like neutral to me. Like it wasn't exactly like any other individual, because I remember my ex was telling me about some gossip about her, because church, that's what you do, gossip. And I remember defending her. Ooh. I couldn't just nod my head and be like, oh yeah, whatever. I was like, you don't know things, and you shouldn't be spreading rumors, and something to that effect. And the problem with that is, I would normally, I didn't do that to anyone else if she told me about a rumor or anyone else. So it's like, okay, why are you defending her? But I never, so she picked up on that. Okay, so up until this point, me and Kryptonite really never talked. Until that one day where she had ended up getting disfellowshipped. And that was the time that I realized on how much she meant to me. That was the first time. Because I remember clearly how much I was in full-on panic mode when I heard the announcement out on the stage. Because I thought that I would never see her again. And that thought of me never seeing her again was overwhelming. I started thinking of all these crazy things, like what. I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. I mean, we weren't even like friends really. But I couldn't not do anything. So I grab a note and I start writing down. I open up my briefcase and start writing down, and I don't remember all the details to the note, but it was something to the effect of, like, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I hope that you come back. You have a friend here waiting for you. And like, I hope you come back someday. Something to that effect. I knew what I was risking. I was risking problems with my marriage. I was risking getting rejected by someone who really, we really didn't talk before anyway. She could have just been like, whatever, freak. I could have gotten in trouble with the church. It was really and to gain what? Because she had to leave anyway. But I could not let her go without me letting her know how I felt, and I even didn't know how I really felt until that day. And there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm just going to grab this note and I'm just going to kind of say goodbye to her and maybe slip her the note or something. But as the meeting was going on, I was getting more and more like angry of the situation, because I was angry at the church that their rules were taking her away from me. Not that it just seemed unfair. So I did not want to hide it. I didn't want her to think that I was ashamed of someone seeing me with her. I wanted her to know that her reputation that might have been going around, that I didn't care. So I stood at the entrance with the note in my hand, and as she was leaving that day, I remember just extending to her and in front of anyone that was at the lobby, and was like, this note's for you. So this is the earliest memories that I have, and this was back in somewhere between 2001 and 2007. I don't remember the exact dates because I didn't have Facebook then, and I didn't have all the resources that I have now to kind of sort out all the different memories. But yeah. So I ended up getting divorced. My ex ended up leaving me for someone else. And the reason she left me, there's a lot of reasons, but the main reason why was because there was no passion in the marriage. She was more like my partner in business, but I was not passionate, and she was looking for that, and I hope that she found it, and I hope that she's happy. So during the time that I was getting divorced afterwards, because I was back like around 2008, and at the time, Kryptonite was still out of the church. So I wasn't really still, even though I was not married anymore, not really allowed to seek her out or anything. I was still trying to get my life together after my divorce. I was still going to church, and I was just trying to put my life together. Around the year 2008 is when I joined Facebook. So a lot of what the rest of the story, I'm a little bit more accurate as far as like what was going on, because it's all like, recorded with posts and pictures and stuff like that. Then came around the time where I left church. I couldn't do it anymore. I lost my faith in God at the when my marriage failed, because I felt like I really didn't deserve it, and I thought that there was a great injustice in that, because I really did try the best I could. And it's only in retrospect that I realized that it's probably worked out better for everyone. But at the time, it was really hard for me to accept it, because I didn't see how God could allow that. So in the year 2009, I'm 29. It's been a year since my divorce. I'm still going to church, and I have here the first time that I made contact with Kryptonite. And it was just she had a Facebook too, started, because around that time, that's when people were just getting it. Now it's like almost everyone has it. But back then, the hot thing was MySpace. So this whole Facebook thing was kind of new. Even me, I kind of went over into Facebook kicking and screaming, because I was, why? I already have MySpace. So at the time, she was doing like special effect makeup for Halloween, and I said, hey, this is my way in. Maybe I can help her out. And I made her like this cool flyer for her. And that was, I think, like the first time I got a chance to introduce myself to her, as far as like, hey, Now, I had to keep this on the down low, because I was still at church and she wasn't, and the whole reputation thing. So even though I contacted her first in 2009, nothing came out of it. Okay. It wasn't until the December of 2010 did the thing started actually, was when I told her how I felt about her. Now, oftentimes when I tell the story, I say that I've been pursuing Kryptonite for 6 years. And the reason I say 6 years is because I didn't tell her how I felt until around 2010. So it's like, 2016 right now, barely, like about 6 years. Okay. But my crush on her started way before then. And she didn't know. She even said, I had no idea you felt that way about me. So we had our first date. I took her out to Cincinnati's. And at the time she was working at this eye doctor place, like optometrist. I was still working at the school, and I would try to go and have lunch with her on my lunch break, and I only had an hour. So I used to order the food ahead of time, pick it up in a drive-through, and go over to her job and maybe spend about 5 minutes or so with her. And it was, for me, amazing. I have posts here. December 19th, 2010. It's interesting how life turns out sometimes. I feel my life spiraling upward, as fast as it did going down. This roller coaster of a ride just got a whole lot more interesting. The post that I did after my first date with her was in December 20th, 2010. There are moments in life when perception of time is askew. There are bad moments, like when I had my car accident and time seemed to have slowed down. But then there are good moments when you have a date with an amazingly beautiful person and the whole night disappears like a forgotten sweet summer dream. Einstein was right. All time is relative. You have to understand that at this point, it was like me having a date with that high school crush, or that one person that you just, you really crushed on. However, things didn't really get past that because a big part of it was she really didn't know me. I mean, this was just like, it was that one guy, he was married, and I gave her that note, and we had that one memory about in the lake. But up until then, I guess I was kind of a creep or something. Especially because I was really upfront at first, and still am too. But I've never I told her from the very beginning how I felt, and I didn't even ease into it. A lot of it's because I had already started my level of attraction before then. Maybe it would be something different if I just, met her for the first time, goes, hey, how's it going? Your standard kind of flirt. But I was already emotionally invested prior to that. And also, there was a lot of times where I felt like growing up, I wanted to talk to her, and I missed out on all these opportunities, and now here I had it. It's very possible I scared her. In fact, she said that, I believe. So, that was when I first started calling her Kryptonite. And the reason I started calling her Kryptonite then, and this was internally, I don't think I told her that, but I wrote a poem based off of it because she's the only person that's made me feel like weak to my knees, give me butterflies, made me stupid, because normally I would like to think I could pass as eloquent or witty. Not with her. I'm kind of an idiot. Even now. And even then. So, I want to go ahead and see here. Tell you the poem, the first time that I basically dubbed her Kryptonite. And it was supposed to be like song lyrics, okay? So, and this is the thing, only she's really inspired me to do this. I mean, I've never really wrote like poems to anyone else. It was only her. And in fact, there's a lot of things in here that I did only for her. So December 23rd, 2010, the poem's called You Are My Kryptonite. You are my kryptonite. I'm strong, but you brought me to my knees. I'm fast, but from you I could not flee. I use x-rays, but you can see right through me. I can fly, but you're the one that gives me wings. The chorus, because this was supposed to be like a song lyrics. You are my weakness. You take away my might. You are my addiction. You are my kryptonite. I'd save the world, but I only care for you. I hide who I am, but only you know the truth. I might be super, but you make me cool. Loving Kryptonite makes me a hero's fool. Then the chorus goes on again, and the last line is, you broke my defenses and stole my heart. I'm only a mere human when we're apart. Stripped of powers and costume art, you were my downfall from the very start. And she liked it, so she knew it. So this was December 2012, and for the next few months we were kind of sort of flirting back and forth. Okay, I have another poem in January 10, my birthday, called Ode Cliche. And this one goes, Ode Cliche. You take my breath away. I know it's such an ode cliche. And even though it's been said before, these words are forever yours. You are my beautiful distraction. Your laughter my sweet addiction. Crazy cute and insanely hot. Better than any Cupid's shot. You make the roses red and you turn any sky blue. A million cliches already said, but there's nothing better than I love you. To my dearest Lou. So this is like I'm getting this opportunity to finally declare my affections, and I thought, yay, you know, happily ever after. This is amazing. However, you know, she didn't return the feelings. She had, you know, options. So throughout the 2011 year, after around January, for a few months after that, she started becoming more and more distant. She wasn't returning phone calls anymore. We weren't texting anymore, and I remember one time I had saw her at a gasoline station pumping gas during this period of time, and I said, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I bumped into her because at this time, you know, we weren't really talking anymore, and she looked like, oh no, not this guy. And I'm like, hey, what happened? What's going on? And something about her being busy or whatnot. So after she stopped, she kind of brushed me off. I don't know exactly. I later on is what she told me was because her family was finding out what was going on. And this is the thing. Now the situation was turned around. I had left church and she was going back in. Okay? So now she would be in trouble if she was caught associating with me. So she kind of, you know, pushed me away there. I got into a relationship with someone else in March of 2012, and I'm going to call her a Kitten, because she was like really into cats. Okay, Kitten. And I was in a relationship with Kitten for a few months, 4 months, and so during that time, Kryptonite, one of the reasons she was blowing me off was because she was already, you know, starting a relationship with another guy. And now at this time, Kryptonite already has one kid. Okay, he was about 6 years old at the time. And I, I was all for it. I was like, yeah, I totally would want to be like a married person. But as soon as, and this might seem bad of what I did with Kitten, but when she ended up ending the relationship with whoever she was at the time, during the first part of 2011, and this was around summertime, July, I ended my relationship with Kitten because she was single again, and we were talking. She was like, because this is the thing. At the end of almost every relationship that Kryptonite has had, she's sought me out to help her put the pieces back together. So this isn't the first time that as soon as things didn't work out with her, that she didn't at least, because during the times that she was in a relationship, that I really didn't communicate with her, because I if she's not interested, she's not interested. So I ended the relationship with Kitten after only a few months, and around October of 2011, I had my first kiss with Kryptonite. And in fact, I had this huge, giant emoji crashing into the earth, like this is the most amazing thing. However, things only that period of time where I was between the end of the summer of 2011 and the end of the year, from the summer, so during those 6 months, I even went as far as me serenading her on YouTube, and I sing terrible. And I was trying to show her how much I was willing to kind of put it all on the line, even after her blowing me off at the end of the last time that I tried to do anything with her. Okay, I had I have here this, during this time of the second half of 2011, I learned what the word unrequited was for the first time. So I wrote another poem. There's going to be just a few though, during that time. And it had the definition: unrequited love is when you love someone and they don't love you back. So this is how I was feeling. This is after I broke up with Kitten and me trying to win over Kryptonite. This is an old story that everyone knows. Who hasn't been love fucked to the very soul? Unrequited love, you heartless cold bastard. You eat at my heart like incurable cancer. Hollywood portrays you in a hallmark light. They say love conquers all. Pfft, yeah, right. Fairy tales are just evil, horrible lies for kids. Everyone knows that true love doesn't exist. Worst of all, I know that you're only a beautiful lie. Perfection only exists in my deluded mind. This torch I carry and this pedestal that I've placed is a very tiring thing when it's only a one-sided race. And what hurts most is that we'll never be complete. I'll never be complete until my broken heart is returned back to me. I just want to throw up and get over with it. Flush it down the toilet. I'm done with this shit. Yeah, toward that second half of 2012 was rough. But even though, so during this time of me trying to win her over, she was already in a relationship. I'm going to call him Ant-Man. I don't know, first thing that came to mind. So she ended up, not talking to me again, because now she's in a relationship with someone else. And this was like during the beginning part of 2012. Okay, so towards the end of 2011 I tried, and towards the beginning of 2012 she was with someone else. And that first part of 2012, the first few months, I spent just trying to lick my wounds and recover, trying to slowly piece my life together. But it was hard, because this was the second time that I lost Kryptonite. And it was worse than the first time, because at least the first time she just kind of sort of like stopped talking to me, whatever. And I never really thought I had a chance, because I never really got anywhere. We only had seen each other a little tiny bit. We only barely talked. But this time I thought that it was going to work out. And I have this reoccurring theme that I start making posts about, how even though I knew that I was hurt, it was still worth it. Even though I spent almost 6 months trying to pursue her, when at the time she was already shooting me down, it was worth the risk. I have a post here from September 24th of 2012 that says, loving someone like you've never had your heart broken before is like jumping without a safety net and having the faith that the person won't let you fall. If you think climbing out of an airplane wing and letting go requires nerves of steel, because I had just recently gone skydiving, so I was using that analogy. It doesn't even come close to lowering your guard and allowing yourself to be vulnerable to rejection from that special someone. For the depths of my soul, I truly believe she is worth the risk of me falling. I have had that sentiment all these years and still do today. Despite the fact that how often things have not worked out between me and her, and how often I've been hurt, it's like still worth it. And this was what's interesting, and it wasn't really until I started looking at all these notes and everything and getting everything in perspective, during the times that we were like kind of sort of like maybe trying to figure things out between me and her, those moments only lasted maybe a few days or maybe even a week or two. And just those few days or week or two was enough for me to endure months of being super depressed, and then immediately try to, again, as soon as the opportunity became available, multiple times. And each time, the time that me and her have been even remotely trying to entertain the idea of becoming a couple, she makes that decision pretty quick in the past anyway, of like, no, not you. I had this in September 27th, 2012, I made another post about how it was like Kid Icarus flying to the sun. It says here, it seems like the mythical Icarus, I've flown too close to the sun and my wings of wax are melting. I'm falling back to earth and back to reality, where nice guys finish last and get splattered across all over the friend zone. If karma really does exist, now would be a good time for it to finally show. Yeah. So around July of 2012, Kryptonite has her second kid. Okay, she has it with Ant-Man, and it's her relationship with Ant-Man ended it around towards the end of 2012. So almost a year or so with that. Towards the end of 2012, start trying again. And at this point, I knew that people wouldn't understand me. They wouldn't get why, after already 2 heartbreaks and strikeouts, would I continue to try to pursue. But this time she had 2 kids, and here I am trying to pursue her, and you would think that I shouldn't. So I thought to myself, it felt a lot like if I was Don Quixote, where he just lived in a different reality than everyone else, right? So on October 10th of 2012, I had this post where I was like, I have been a knight all of my life, honored, bound to loyalty and justice. I feel like Don Quixote living in a make-believe world of passion and romance. Of course, she is worth the wait. It's exactly what I've been waiting for this whole time. That one special girl to prove that I am not crazy. So in December of 2012, I went to a haunted house with her. And she told me then, we went, and I was, that was amazing, that memory. We had talked afterwards, and she told me that she was willing to try. Okay, because here's a guy who, she kind of did twice already, blew her off, and he's still trying. He's making all these posts and everything. I guess she had a moment of weakness of even just mentioning it, and I thought, okay, this is it. We're now going to be we're not going to be a couple. But that only lasted a few days. Almost not too long afterwards, she kind of reworded things and no, you misunderstood. Of course. So at the beginning of 2013, I'm trying to get into a relationship with her. And that's when she started seeing another guy. I'm going to call him The Rock, because this guy was, massive. The Rock. And this year was pretty brutal for me. Okay? A lot of things happened that year that was rough. Let's start off with a couple things. One, she started using this hashtag called punk. And my idiot self thought she was talking about me. And she would have all these little cute little quips and stuff, little posts. So I decided I wanted to be clever too, and I started using a hashtag called brat. See? Punk, brat. And I started making posts too, and and I still use brat sometimes, just even though I know that it kind of lost a little bit of its meaning, but it's only because so that way some of the every time I had made a post, I would hashtag it so that way it can make the right association. So she knew that it was talking about her. She had changed her job. She was working at the a construction site, and it was rough. It was rough because she was already apparently having this relationship with The Rock, and here I am, and she was entertaining me too. Like, I wouldn't say necessarily she allowed me, I guess, to come by and give her gifts and stuff. She knew that I was trying to chase her. She even one time invited us both to a kind of to a party to celebrate like the passing of a friend, and so I had a chance to meet him. I think that was the only time I did, and she assured me that he was only a friend, and he was showing very strong PDA, public displays of affection towards her. Things that I myself I have never done. Like, yeah. It was hard to see that. I left. And she texts me later, "Why did you leave?" I even gave her a locket to try to, because I went to her job as me being an idiot, to ask her to be my girlfriend. She said she'll think about it. She couldn't answer right then and there. And then she says she can't be in a relationship because she wasn't ready to be in one. And then later on I see posts of them both together, her and The Rock. And The Rock in these photos was wearing my locket that I gave to her. When I called her and said, "Hey, where's my locket? I mean, if you're not going to be my girlfriend, can you give it back?" And it wasn't really that it was that expensive, but I was like, and she said to me, "Oh, I put it in your mailbox. Did you not get it? Someone must have stole it. Sorry for you." I wanted to I had a post here, December 12th, 2012. I would be willing to admit that maybe I was wrong about God if I was blessed enough to have you in my life. I really meant that. And it's just, you would think that would be it. You would think that kind of betrayal, because even if we weren't a couple, I mean, come on, right? So, I have this whole thing about that I had to set her free. Just kind of let go. So on April of 2013, I'm like, sometimes you have to risk everything to gain the one thing you want. If you love someone, set them free. If they come back, they're yours. If they don't, they never were. And I'm all just devastated. You know, I have here in 2013 again, me losing her to this guy. And I wrote this whole thing about me carrying a torch for her. And April 15th, 2013, carry your torch. There are very few things in life that's worth the struggle of strife. Nothing is more noble than love. I really believe that it can conquer all. Valiant few take on this quest. Fewer still can pass the test. How strong is faith required to carry a torch and never tire? Is it possible for love unrequited to be won by someone committed? How many years would could one endure, giving one's heart and being ignored? I may have stumbled along the way, but I'm still here fighting every day. I'll have faith that sometime soon I'll give this torch I've carried for you. Tú eres mi razón por ser valiente, porque te quiero mucho, siempre. So this is already the third time that I ended up having a real major heartbreak from her. Yeah, and I tried really hard not to just let it go and just to let her go. So let's go into 2014. Oh, no. What happened was I have to bring this in. Okay, so I finally move on. I have to. So towards the end of 2013, I got into another relationship, and I'm gonna call her Green because that was her favorite color. So I was in a relationship with Green for about 5 months, and all up until the relationship between the Rock and the Kryptonite ended in the beginning of 2014. So I ended up kind of ending things with Green, and you would think already at three heartbreaks that I would. Why would I go back, right? So I wrote this poem to kind of explain that. And this is, and I'm still using the hashtag brat, by the way, even though at the time I knew that hashtag that she had before punk wasn't for me. January 27th, 2014. Moth to the flame. I bathe in the sweet magic under the luminescent moonlight. My world dances with shadows in the symphony of the night. A creature of darkness caresses the quiet stillness and solitude, and I sense the warm glow of color interrupting my interlude. There you were like a beacon of brilliant and beautiful light, and I was mesmerized by such an amazing and wonderful sight. Overwhelmed with wonder and awe as I was lured to you, and suddenly the heat started to consume me as closer I drew. I started to flinch away until I saw the sadness in your face, tired of being burned by everyone who comes into your space. Despite fate and destiny separating us by our very nature, I'll never leave or give up until you're in my future. I don't care about the challenge or danger in falling in love with fire. Like a moth to a flame, I'll follow you till I expire. So I knew what I was getting myself into, And I had my first Valentine ever. I've never celebrated Valentine's Day before. It wasn't really allowed in the religion that I was in. And I asked her out. Things were ending with The Rock. She was available. I wasn't with Green anymore. Oh my God, it was an adventure. This was during like one of the really nasty snowstorms that we were having around Kansas City, and everything that I was doing to try to get things ready was just insane, absolutely insane. I had this whole thing with the Titanic themed date. I built her a restaurant, a little tiny restaurant for us. I'll show photos, I guess. And I have this picture of us holding hands, and we graffitied a wall in my job. And I gave her a drawing that I made to her, and a newspaper that I had from that was the day after the Titanic. And if you're talking about days that you wish you could relive over and over, that would have been one of them. So I thought that, you know, I even had this, and at the end of the whole night, all I got was like a kiss. Okay, and even then, like, was like totally worth it. I have this post here from February 16th, a few days after the Valentine Day. February 16th of 2014. I remember when I was playing Super Mario Bros. 64, I was a little disappointed. Mario had to go through 15 worlds, collect 120 stars, defeat countless enemies, perform daring feats, risk life and limb, and challenge King Bowser. When the princess was saved, all he got was a single kiss for all of his effort. And back then I thought, what a joke. I mean, all of those things just for one little, like, you know? And then last night I finally understood. The kiss wasn't the reward. Princess Peach being free and safe was. Maybe Mario and Peach will never be a couple, but Mario would always be willing and ready to save her any time she needs saving. Already, again, things didn't last long. So again, just a few days or a few weeks. Already on February 18th, I start to realize that things weren't working out already. She was, things weren't working out. So I had this post already. February 18th says, as feelings of melancholy and sorrow started to dissipate, I am surprisingly reluctant in saying goodbye to these blue emotions. Sadness is just another way to know that I'm human and alive. One day I'll look back and smile, remember this bittersweet time. Life's greatest adventure you'll ever have. Life is the greatest adventure you'll ever have. I'm glad I had this experience. And again, it was like, even though things didn't work out, things didn't blossom from that Valentine's, and I was sad. It was, for me, I was like, it was still worth it. I had even and just this, so at the time she was still single. She just I think at that time she was just saying that, you know, she just got through getting out of that relationship with Ant-Man and wasn't really ready to get into another relationship. So we were kind of like just friends. I had tried to express to her, and here's another post about how I had the resolve and the commitment to want to be with her. like the real deal. March 14th of 2014, called When Fiction Overlaps Nonfiction. As we grow up, we slowly lose our faith in magic and love and adventure. Life convinces us that we were lied to by TV, movies, and fairy tales. We lose our innocence with ever-broken promises and betrayal, and we either become bitter and cynical or lost and depressed. However, behind every great deception, there's a seed of truth. Every made-up story was inspired by something very real. And I have faith that there's still love out there that demands stories to be written, movies to be reenacted, and songs to be sung. It's something that can't be seen with momentary glances. It's something that can't be explained with eloquent words. It's something you have to prove with occasional acts of romance. It's only something you can feel deep down inside your very core. If you're fortunate enough to come across something like this, understand that everything in our lives that will make you second guess it just makes you think that you're being fooled again by childlike yearnings. Just remember that every once in a while, fiction will overlap nonfiction. And it's like that was me. I was trying to let her know that was me. She, around this time, around April and May, around May and June, April, around that time was really ups and downs. I had this post right here from, that expression and saying, there are many fish in the sea. It's what people told me, because they were like, come on, Alex, why are you still... This is already 4 times now going through heartbreak. So when people say that there are other fish in the sea, I say, fuck you. She was my sea. And during around this time, he was got into another relationship. And this was like during the time she was telling me that she wasn't ready. And this one didn't last very long, only a few months. I'm gonna call them barnacles. So barnacles didn't last too long, but it kind of felt crummy because, it was still people that she hadn't met before. And we had grown up next to each other, and she knew everything. And during this whole entire time, there are like all these acts of things that I've done to give her things or tell her things or just whatever the case was. So I had this story that I wrote. It's not just poems, right? Little stories too, to try to express how I felt like I thought I understood her and how I was going to try to win her over or approach her. The story that I wrote for her in May 7th of 2014 was called The Songbird. There once was an exquisitely beautiful songbird that could silence the whole forest every time she sang her enchanting melody. Even the trees and the wind seemed to settle down as to not disturb the songs of the bird singing. One day a bird collector came to the forest looking for a prize to add to his collection. It was no surprise that the bird collector became enthralled upon hearing the mesmerizing sound, and when he saw how stunning the songbird was in appearance, he knew that he had to have her all to himself. He offered some seeds to the bird while holding the cage in his other hand. The innocent songbird assumed that the man was just being grateful for her singing and accepted the gift. As soon as she did, the bird collector trapped her, took her home, away from the forest, away from her friends, away from everything. Over time, the unfortunate songbird didn't feel like singing anymore. Even her illustrious feathers seemed to lose some of its shine. The bird collector couldn't understand why his prize no longer seemed happy. He gave her food, he gave her protection, he put her cage next to the window, but nothing worked. The bird collector no longer wanted the sad bird and set her free. It took her some time, but the bird returned back to the forest. However, she didn't sing as loud as she used to. She didn't want to be the center of attention anymore. One day, a little bird watcher came to the forest and sat down to appreciate nature. He too was captivated by the beautiful songs birds singing, even if it was somewhat a little subdued. He also brought out some seeds to offer to his new friend. The smart songbird was not fooled. She had seen this trick before and would not fall for it again. The little bird watcher was not bothered by the refusal of his gift. He was just content to sit there and listen. Years went by, and the little bird watcher visited the forest almost every day and brought different treats and leave them behind as a sign of his appreciation. After a long time, the songbird no longer feared the little bird watcher because he never made an attempt to try to trap her. She would even sit on his shoulder and eat from his hand and even allow the occasional petting. She started to remember the joy of singing once again and became the forest's special star. People would sometimes come by into the forest and would be amazed to see such a wild and exotic bird come so close to a human without fear. They would ask the little bird watcher how he tamed her. How did he keep the songbird from flying away? The little bird watcher smiled and replied, "The secret is that I don't try." This is how I feel about love. Winnie the Pooh, all stung, but with a smile of face on a smile on his face, and it was totally worth it. This in July of 2014 was the first time that she let me take a photo with her. The first time I put it up on my Facebook. And even though I really, 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 really treasured this photo, I've seen photos of her with other guys before. And it seems to me like the smile isn't reaching the eyes here. She was just being polite. July 16, 2014. This is easily my most favorite person in the whole world. If you ever told me, if you ever heard me telling you a story about my kryptonite, then you'll know how much I treasure this picture. So at this point, I'm already in it for years. This is 2014. Towards September, just a few months after this, she told me that she couldn't be with me now because I was an atheist. And I didn't have a way to combat that. If she would have said almost anything else, maybe that there would have been something I could have done. But when I left the church back in 2000, I had to make a sacrifice of never talking to my family again, never talking to all of my friends. I lost my entire social circle, and I had to start over my life from scratch. And even though it was very difficult for me, I felt like it was worth the sacrifice for me to stand up for what I believed in. But now she was saying that decision costed me her. I have never felt angry about the decision that I made and bitter. I thought up until then it was worth it somehow because I lost something, I gained something, I thought I balanced out. So I had July 2014. I had to put this post, and it was rough. Okay, so this is heartbreak number 5. July 21st, 2014. I find it ironic that I've suffered more sacrifices for sticking up for my beliefs as an atheist in these last 4 years than I have in all the 30 years of being a Jehovah's Witness. As a JW, I never felt like my faith was a burden. I didn't care that I didn't celebrate holidays or that I had to wake up mornings and knocking on strangers' doors to give out Bible studies. I never felt ridiculed, made feel inferior, or lose friendships because of my beliefs. However, ever since I've chosen atheism as a belief, I have paid sacrifice after sacrifice for it. I lost all my childhood friends, my family, and every important person in my whole life gone at the same time. The last time I spoke to my family was when I tried to buy my mom flowers for Mother's Day. They kicked me out of their home for insulting them. They told me never to come back. It never ends. I'm still suffering for it. Still making heavy sacrifices for my beliefs. I know I'm not perfect. I know I can be angry with humanity sometimes and empathetic or sympathetic with other people's problems. That doesn't make me a bad person. It's my actions that count. Doesn't it matter that I volunteer work at homeless centers or that I mentor several young kids? They think it's wrong that I accept all kinds of people as my friends, not just the ones that see things my way. It's blasphemy if I want to even celebrate my own birthday. I don't go around telling people that they're terrible because they don't believe what I believe. I judge people by their actions, not by their words. All I ask is to be judged the same way. Judge me by my actions. Judge me by how I treat others. Ask any one of my new friends, any one of them, if they think that I am a good person. And I dare you to find someone who wouldn't think so. Do you know why you wouldn't find one? Because all my life I've tried to lead by example, to be the good that I wanted to see in the world. I didn't just stop thinking like that because I stopped believing in God. September 10th, 2014. There's more than one way to get out of the friend zone. In fact, all you have to do is have the strength to just leave. September 10th, 2014, and I know this is a little dramatic picture that I put together, but I thought this was going to be it. I am finally free from this long time addiction. This marks a major checkpoint in my life. Kryptonite, nevermore. So, and despite this gut-wrenching, awful feeling that I had, I didn't feel negative feelings towards her. I didn't think she did me dirty or I can't believe she did this or anything like that. I kept throwing that all on me. And I still believed that it was worth it. She started a relationship towards the end of 2014, and I'm going to call this guy Tiger. And I posted this here in November of 2014, and I still had this whole thing about how even though I got hurt, that it was still worth it. She even posts, I don't really understand why weren't you the one that stopped loving her? Like, because I had that post about, moving on. And I replied, sometimes we have to make sacrifices in order to keep the people we want in our lives. So I had to try, hey, we're friends now, so to speak. She invited me to go celebrate Christmas with her that year. Ended up canceling on me. I went to her home anyway, and I saw that she was already spending it with Tiger. But so here we go. In 2015, so this is just last year. Okay, we're almost caught up to now. She still kept in contact with me because I am a very resourceful individual, and there were things that I was still, even after all this time, doing things for her. I mean, I don't think there was anything she asked me that I didn't do. But that was it. She was just, I know she had feelings for me. It wasn't that. It's just that not enough for us to be in a relationship, and she knew how I felt about her. And April 25th of 2015. There's more than one way of selling out. For some, it's having sex with someone who doesn't love you and only wanted the body. For others, it's working on a project or a favor for someone who doesn't love you and only wanted the mind. In both cases, the person who gets used feels dirty, shameful, and stupid, and filled with self-loathing. Every time I do a favor for a girl because she bats her pretty eyelashes at me is no different than a girl having sex with a guy because he happens to say the words like "I love you," and then after he says that and he gets what he wants, he moves on. A woman's body is not more vulnerable than a man's mind, not more valuable than a man's mind. Both are part of who we are. Both can be sold, and both can be taken advantage of. Everyone's a whore. We just sell different parts of ourselves. And even though I sort of just came to this I just accepted that we weren't going to be together. And despite me not being together, I knew that if the opportunity came and something happened to her, that I would try to do my best to help keep taking care of the kids. So I had made this post about in May 2015 about Severus Snape, which I believe is a really good example of how I feel for Kryptonite, the way Severus Snape felt for Lily, Harry's mother. Harry Potter's father was kind of a douche. He was a bully. He was arrogant. And in fact, Lily didn't even like him at first. And Snape was always in love with Lily. And Snape got bullied by James Potter. And in the end, Lily chose to be with James Potter. And they had Harry. And then Lily died. And Snape loved Lily so much that even though it wasn't his kid, and even though the kid belonged to someone he hated the most in the world, he still protected him, died for him even. All for his love for Lily. And he was never in a relationship with Lily, any more than friends anyway. That's how I feel about her. Like, yeah. Okay. So, at this point, Kryptonite already has 3 kids. And she had been with Tiger for about a year now. And during that time, I don't know why or how, but during the 2015 Valentine, February, I was able to manage to go on a date with her, or have Valentine's with her. Apparently she was still with, or having issues with, I don't know, with Tiger. That later on, Tiger ended up contacting me, asking if whether or not it was true that I had spent Valentine's with Kryptonite. He texted me, he got my number somehow, and Kryptonite asked me to lie for her, and I did. And I did because she asked me. And but for the most part in 2015, I was just caught up in my own projects. I was starting to learn computer programming. I was trying to, build a new life. I was trying to move on. When things ended with Tiger around October, is when I again came back to this whole, yay, she's available. December 27th of 2015. Nothing in life is free, especially the things of true value. I'm willing to risk getting hurt again for the sake of love. And even if I fail again, it would be worth it. I am still willing to bare my soul to another, and that gives me hope that I'm not really dead. I hope that's enough, because I have nothing else left to give. And these events right here are literally just a few weeks ago. And I ended up spending Christmas with her. I had a Kryptonite Christmas. Later that same day, she ended up getting engaged with I'll call him Roses, because of a tattoo that he got that I thought was in its own right a valiant gesture of affection. I have to give props. Okay. But the thing is that she had only met him 3 or 4 weeks ago. And she told me that that she only loved me as a brother. I believe that it had to come that way because this time I was pressing the issue. Because she kept telling me that she wasn't engaged. And he seemed to think otherwise. And it's like history repeating all over again. No? So a few weeks ago, Roses ended up showing, I guess, a side that Kryptonite suspected but never fully got a chance to see. And just like that, she ended the relationship as almost as abruptly as it started. And then I thought, wow, okay, well, at this point it wasn't like I thought we could, like, it was different than the previous times, because every other time before then, as soon as she became available, I'm all, let's go on this crazy roller coaster again. But because she had made it really evident that she would never be attracted to me in anything other than like a brother, I didn't try to like, I promised her that I would not confess my love for her anymore. That I would try at the very least just be a friend if that was the only thing that I would ever be allowed to be. And I said to her, well, maybe we can do Valentine's Day again as friends. Since we already had the previous two, let's go for number 3. But this time it'll be different. I'm not going to do anything romantic. Just, you know, if you happen to be available and I'm single, we can do that. And she told me that she was already talking to another guy. Call him Pastor. But apparently Tiger ended up telling things to Pastor enough to dissuade him, and that situation didn't last long at all. Maybe only a few weeks. I was just, you know, I felt bad, but at this point it didn't seem like I had any stake in the interest anymore. It's like, you know, okay, I'll be there for you, but so I've had this post that I ended up doing about me moving on. Like, even if whether she was single or not single anymore, she made it clear I needed to just get it through my head. And I made this post in January 10, just a few days ago. A man expressed his feelings for a girl. She rejected him. He was not sad. His friends asked him why he wasn't sad. He replied, I lost someone who didn't love me, but she lost someone who loved her. And I know that sometimes we don't truly appreciate the things that we have until we lose them. But I think this is maybe one of the first times that like normally every time that I've ever moved on was always because she was in a relationship and I had no other choice. This time it was going to be a little bit different because it did not matter that she was single or not. I was saying that I was going to move on. So a few days ago, she said that she wanted to try to get to know me more beyond my interest of being a nerd, and she wanted to get to know the real me, to see how I felt. And I gave her a link to my YouTube channel where I had made previous blog posts, and there's times during there that I had talked about her, and she said that she never got a chance to see that much emotion in me before, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that I get stupider when I'm around her. And she said that she wanted to try things. By this point in the story, you know how many times I've been in this situation. And apparently, every time that I have been in this situation, it's only lasted a few days. A week at most. And I really, really, really want to believe her this time. I want to help raise her kids. I want to grow old with her. It just hasn't worked out for me in the past. I've lost count on how many heartbreaks I've had. I know I'm going to try. I know that I won't hold back. And there's a part of me that's really happy. Like skipping down the streets and smiling at strangers, and my friends can see it, and it's like my life is filled with color and light and music. I really love her. I do. Like, even during the times that she's with other guys, I've never wished her ill. I only wanted her to be happy, if not with me, with someone. And it's been really difficult doing this video, reliving all the ups and downs. I don't know what's going to end up happening in the final cut, but I have already tried to do this video several times. and not been able to finish it because I can't. I took the whole day off from work today to work on this. And I spent all day since morning, and it's already 10 o'clock p.m. I have developed a relationship with her first kid. Enough to the point where he says that he misses me. Because I've spent time with him. I mean, I'm leaving out all these little stories of all these things that I've had in this whole endeavor with her. And with her kids. I try not to be afraid. I want to be optimistic. It's just, I feel like a puppy that's been abused, that has gone to finally a nice home, and even though the owner is trying to show the puppy affection, it shudders and curls up into a ball and is just afraid of getting hurt again. Because all he's known is being hurt. This story is still being written. In my heart, I have faith that it'll have a happy ending. Because I will wait as long as it takes. I realize that now. That there will never be. I would never be able to stop feeling this way for her. I will never stop feeling that it's not worth the risk of getting hurt with her, despite of my abysmal odds and track record. She's still worth another heartbreak, if needed. She made a post a day ago, about how one of the overlooked characteristics that people have when picking a partner is for that person to have the ability to suffer in case there was like a sickness or a loss or a tragedy. A lot of people flake out when things get difficult. I would gladly suffer with her. Even if she was going through like a very terminal disease that had left her needing help, I would be there. I don't know what else I could do or say. We're supposed to try again. She told me that. I haven't had a chance to see her since she's told me that. So, at the time of me recording this video, all I have is a couple texts from her. I'm running on faith right now. Faith that she's the one. That she's always been the one. That she will always be the one.